Collective, and welcome to a new series that I'm going to do, which is surrounding how to heal emotionally. So we all have some emotional pain that, if you've lived a life experience, you've collected emotional pain. So you must be here because you're wanting to understand how to stop surviving and start really living. So tonight we're going to pull some question on the universe and asking specifically for the multiple infinite intelligence that can give us some guidance on how do we heal this emotional pain, this suffering that we have inside, when we're suffering in silence, or the things that we've ignored, or the things that we thought would just go away if we just focused our mind on other things, and then they don't go away. And they come up and they pop up in our lives, and it's difficult. Like an experience triggers it, and then bam, you're back into feeling that pain all over again. And you just wonder yourself, is this ever going to go away? It's very defeating. It feels like sometimes the pain is so big that it feels like, if this isn't going to go away, then why am I even persisting here on this earth? Like, what is the point? And I hear that from people all the time that I coach and I help, and when they're down and out, they just say, I just want to give up. I want this to be over. I don't want to do it anymore. Like, it hurts too much. It just isn't worth living anymore. And one of the issues with that is if you choose to exit, then you have to come back and do it again. And if it was so hard this time, then why would you want to have to start a whole new life and have to deal with that pain all over again? So it's better to deal with it while you're here and give yourself the opportunity to live the best life that you can live. Living is hard. It's not easy. So we're going to talk about that. We're going to look into the energy of forgiveness. I'm going to pull cards and asking the universe specifically the question of how do you heal from emotional pain? And in that, I'll probably share with you what I just went through and how I did it, because I've done this work a lot. I've done it since 2017. I've been pretty consistent at it. I'm not afraid to look at my pain, and we'll talk about it, okay? So let's start out, and I'm just gonna get a story and see what the universe gives us. So I'm asking the question of what do we have to do or how do we heal from emotional loss? Like, what do we do? What do we do? And the thing is, I know, but I know I'm on the same journey. I'll put it that way. Through my journey, I've had practice with emotional healing, so I'll be able to share some experience with you. But I want guidance I want information too, just like you. Like, I'm in the same journey. So let's find out what we can find out, okay? One more shuffle and I'll start pulling some cards. The first thing that we need to do when we're looking at our emotional pain is to understand that there is always a new beginning. It's always a new beginning coming. And every time we shed pain, then we get more and more doors that open for us so that we can have the new beginning. New beginnings can look like many things. It can look like money news coming in for you. So the problem with emotional pain is it blocks us from our prosperity. It blocks us from the things that we want because we're too busy holding on to the belief systems that we struggled with our whole life. So our goal in this lifetime, there's a couple of goals. The first one is to learn how to love. And it's not learning how to love in a way that you don't get it in return. First, you have to learn how to love yourself and know how people should be treating you, especially if you've lived a life of abuse and people have taken that power away from you and you don't even know what it looks like or what it means or what it's supposed to feel like to be loved. It's extremely important that you learn how to love yourself first. The second piece of that is then you extend that out to learning how to love others. And it's not just the easy people that are easy to love. No. You have to learn how to love everyone, no matter what they've done to you, no matter how they presented in your life. That's where forgiveness comes in. And forgiveness is part of loving yourself as well. Because you holding on to anger or you holding on to the pain that someone may have caused for you and holding them to that, you're you're not loving yourself when you do that. So each time you commit and have the intention of removing an emotional pain, an emotional wound, then what happens is doors start to open. Little by little, you'll get things that start to appear that you had never seen before, things that you've wanted that now you're starting to get. And part of that is because when you hold on to emotional pain, you're not loving yourself. So then you feel like you don't deserve the things that you want. So then you just have this cycle of wanting, and never getting. And then then it just confirms the belief systems that you held on to since you were a child. So, emotional healing. So basically, I just went through a major emotional healing. It was extremely difficult. And I'll kind of explain that. So what I was told, because I pulled cards on myself, like, how am I going to get through this? It hurts so bad. Like, how do I do this? Because I want to do it because I have children and I have a husband and I have dreams that we have made together. And so I'd like those to come true and see if maybe I have a chance for those things. So what did they tell me? The first thing that I was told by my guides was to focus in on, so for me, I was going to school, I'm going to school to get my master's in business. So they're telling me to focus in on that. Focus in on your dreams. Like, look at the pentacles, see where you're going. Because when you release emotional pain, then your talent starts to shine. You start to shine more. It's not just your talent, but you're shining bright. Somebody told me today, or the other day when they were reaching out to see if I was okay, and they said, I don't really know you. Like, I knew you when we were younger, but I don't really know you now. But you shine so bright when you were young, and you're still shining so bright. Like, through all this space and time, you still shine really bright. And so that is what the whole purpose of getting rid of that emotional pain, because that dims your spirit, it dims your light. The Page of Pentacles is... you get more auspicious opportunities. You get job offers that come in that maybe you've been waiting for a long time. You get a lot of success when you start working on your emotional pain, because the emotional pain is what's keeping you in the darkness. It's dark, it's heavy, it's dense. There's this guy who is a very logical brained guy from the Flower of Life Institute. And he does this really cool thing called energy transfer. And when I first started healing my emotional pain, and I didn't really know where to start, he was one of the guys that I gravitated to because I'm a logical perspective kind of person. So the foo-foo stuff kind of was like, I guess, it's not totally me, but all right. But then the way he would speak about it, very logical, helped me see that this is a really good thing to do. So what I would do is I would go out to like the park, in the middle of the park, and where nobody was, by myself. And I would listen to in my headphones. He had this guitar playing in the background, and he would allow you to send your negative, dense energy to him. So it's pretty interesting. I can put a link in the description box down below if you want to practice with him as well. It's a great person to practice with, sending your negative energy to, sending your pain to, and then it gets just dispersed. He'll explain it. He explains how it happens, and it's pretty awesome. So that's one of the things I would think about doing. Okay, let's see what else we got. There's two ways that I'm feeling about this card that they're talking about, two things that I'm seeing. The first one is, I'll show it to you. Is this actually a card of protection? The whole reason why you are getting rid of the emotional pain, and you've decided and have the intention is the most important part of it. And I'll explain to you what I did tonight, where I had a lot of intention with something, and it's a very powerful technique to use when you're getting rid of emotional pain. But the first part is it's your duty to protect yourself from the wounds, from getting wounded more from this, getting triggered and then wounded again and again and again and again. It's your job to protect yourself from that. Nobody else is going to do it. You don't have a parent that's going to do it. Your friend can't do it. Your husband or your wife can't do it. Your partner can't do it. Nobody can do it but you. You are in charge of protecting the child inside. It's your job and your responsibility. So they're saying here that this is why you would want to do it. Like, they're creating the why right now. Because really, Unless you have a why, there's no reason for you to do anything. So anybody who has done any kind of business understands that. It's the first thing they teach in business is you have to have a why. Why are you doing this? What is your goal? What is your purpose? Why do you want to get rid of emotional pain? Why didn't you before? You didn't before because it felt comfortable, it felt right. But something in you made you go, maybe this isn't right, and maybe I can have more out of life if I just get rid of this thing that I've been holding on to so tightly. That's what they're saying, the why. If you don't have a why, they're giving you a why right here. The why is so it can open up doors for you that you haven't seen, that you've always wanted to be open, but you just didn't have the opportunity because the opportunity didn't arise because you didn't have the energy for it. You didn't have the right vibration for it. You were telling yourself you didn't deserve anything and that, you deserve this pain. That's what you deserve. And so there's no opening for you. Okay. The second part of that is protection. You need to do it because you're the only one who's going to protect yourself. You're the only one who's going to be there for yourself. You're the only one that can do this work. Nobody can do it for you. You can't go to a psychologist and expect this psychologist to do it for you. It doesn't work that way. The psychologist guides you and helps you reframe stuff. If you're like, the inner child comes out and says some things that are just like a regurgitation of their parents, what their parents told them and what life showed them when they were little. So you might need a psychologist to reframe that for you and help you see that and help you see who the players in your life were. What parts did these people play? I needed the psychologist to show me the narcissism of my mother and how that bled down to my sister. My oldest sister, it's like I had to see that. I had to see that it wasn't me. It wasn't me. I didn't have anything to do with any of that. Anyway, so let's move on. The other part of this is the reason why you want to do your healing is because you're closed off. The reason why you want to do your healing is because you're too closed off to allow anything in. This is a card of the miser, somebody who's really holding on tight to their belief systems, really holding on tight to the way they see the world. No, this is me. This is who I always was. This is who I told people I was, and I can't not be this. And so that's why you need to do it. You need to be able to open those arms up and let things in. It's like money training. If you ever go to any kind of money energy training, they talk about like if you're holding onto your money with your fist like this, no money can get in and no money can get out. So it doesn't change. It stays the same. It's always that way. But if you give money, then you get money. So don't be afraid to give money or give or open up, because then you give and you receive. And you don't give to receive. You give because you're open. You're not this guy. This guy doesn't give anything. He's like, nope, this is me. And this is the way I've always done it. And that is such a crazy energy to be in. I don't want to say horrible. I did want to say horrible. It's a crazy energy to be because anybody who's been in a job before and somebody goes, well, that's the way we've always done it. Oh, who was that comedian? Was it a comedian or somebody gave this example? I can't give credit to it because I don't know who it was, but maybe you know. But it was like Thanksgiving meal. The daughter calls the mom and says, hey, how do you cook this turkey? And the mom says, oh gosh, I forget the whole thing, but it was like something ridiculous. And the girl goes, well, why do we do that? And she goes, I don't know. It's just the way we've always done it, And then she's like, oh. And then because the young girl was questioning, the mother calls the other mother and says, why did we always do it this way? And she goes, I don't know. We just always did it, And then maybe calls the other mother or whatever. And then the great aunt goes, oh, it's because we didn't have anything at the time and we had to improvise. So we did it this way. And that's why. And like for 4 generations down, people have been doing it the same way when it was like it was overcome and improvise, kind of thing. It wasn't even what you're supposed to do with the turkey. So it's just ridiculous. So just because you've always been that way doesn't mean you always have to be that way. And the whole purpose of healing is so that you change and you become something new and something better. So one of the things that I'm doing right now is one of the spiritual leaders that I go to on Wednesday night. She was helping me see how to move through energy. And it's really cool. And one of the things she said was, write down who you were 5 years ago. Write down who you are today. and write down who you want to be. And this isn't like, oh, 5 years ago I worked at this job and I did this and da-da-da. It's not like that. It's not a 3D perspective, a logical perspective. It's like, who were you inside? So for me, 5 years ago, oh gosh, I was in a bad place. I was angry for no reason. I was quiet because I didn't want anybody to know I was angry. So I just didn't really speak very much. And I was this guy. I was really closed off. I didn't have any friends. I never talked to people on the phone. Like when I first started my doTERRA business, like the doTERRA business was beautiful for me because it got me to open up and start talking to people again. I had a purpose to talk to people. But I really was lonely, extremely. Even though I was in a relationship, I was lonely because the relationship wasn't healthy. And even though I had children, I was lonely because I couldn't open up to my children. So you want to be open, that's why. That's why you want to do this, okay? So you need to make a decision. You need to tell the universe what it is that you want to do. That's the next step. Make a decision. Here it is right here. Because, it could be a tough decision to make. Do I really want to look at my pain? I'm going to tell you, it hurts. It hurts a lot. Like I thought I was going to die this last week. It was so painful. And wasn't the whole time, but there were periods where I couldn't even breathe. It was so painful. It brought up so much rejection and hatefulness and abuse. It brought up so much from my past, this last experience I had, and I didn't think I was going to make it. I was like, I don't think I'm going to make it through this. It hurts so bad. And it was like waves. It would be so strong. And I was talking to my friend, it was like contractions. Like when you're having a baby, it's like it's strong and then it releases, and then it's strong and then it releases. And I was walking around this weekend just like I couldn't even control my tears. Like I'd be looking at people and I'd just start crying, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going on with me. Like I knew what was going on with me, but I was embarrassed because I was walking around and seeing people, and I'm like, it's a hot mess. But that's what it's like, and it's okay. And it's okay to retreat and not be around people while you go through that. But definitely have a psychologist in your back pocket in case you need somebody to reframe some thoughts that you're having and reframe your life experience. Because it was a hurt child that went through those experiences. And nothing worse than a hurt child who has emotionally immature parents, and they don't blame the parent for a thing, and they blame themselves. There's nothing worse than having to revisit that pain. That hurts. It hurts a lot. And there was times I was very sick and I was nauseated, and my head hurt so bad, and I just was like, I had to use digestion oil crazy amounts. I was just so sick. And I wasn't sick because I had a virus. I was sick because I was reliving that pain, and it was horrible. It was hard. But I'm so grateful that I'm on the other side. It was only a couple of days. And I've done this before. I've done this work before. And every time you do it, it gets easier and easier and easier. And God will never give you anything you're not ready for. So your higher self will not have you tap into anything that you're not ready to let go of, release. So have faith in that. Have faith that whatever comes up, you're ready for. And it's okay. So the purpose of why you're doing what you're doing. Why would you even think about going back in and digging up those old wounds? They have scars. It's like that song, Scars. Oh, I can't remember how that goes. But they're scarred up. Why would I want to break open that scar and look into that wound? What and why on earth would I want to do that? And the reason why is because that scar is holding on to belief systems that hurt you. That's why. And they ruin your relationships, and they ruin your self-esteem, and they ruin everything that you could do, everything that you could be. They keep you less than average in this life. And then it's just a cycle of sabotage and abuse on yourself. Like, especially those people who've been in abusive relationships. When you left that relationship, the abuse didn't stop. You learned how to do it to yourself. So you might as well have just stayed with the person, right? That sucks. Like distance doesn't necessarily cure the abuse. You'll just find someone else that has the same energy that can continue to do the abuse for you, so you don't have to do it to yourself, and then you can continue to live in that vibration, right? Okay. I'm going to shuffle one more time because I've got the why. We're good. Like, why is it? Because you want to be the Nine of Pentacles. You want abundance in your life everywhere. Because what happens is that when you have this emotional pain, not only are you suffering in silence, but you have a hole in your heart that my children couldn't fulfill, my husband couldn't fulfill, my accolades at my job couldn't fulfill, any kind of achievement that I did never fulfilled it. It didn't matter how well I did in life. That hole was always there. It felt like somebody shot me and made a hole in my heart. And it's like I could never get it to close and fill up again. And it didn't matter how much love other people gave me. I couldn't accept it. So why do you want to do it? Because you want to be able to accept love again. Okay, let's figure out how. Let's find out how. How do we do this? Well, okay, I'm supposed to share. So I found out some news. I tried to reach out, and I got rejected. And even though I've done a lot of emotional healing, there's no way I felt like I could have prepared myself for the amount of emotions I was going to feel. Even though I didn't even know this person, and I know this person didn't know me, that rejection was hard. So, and my friend was like, hey, rejection is redirection. Rejection is protection. And I was like, why does it hurt so bad then? If it's redirection, shouldn't I feel better? If it's redirection, if it's protection, shouldn't I be thankful? Shouldn't I be grateful? But I don't. And my husband was even like, you didn't even know these people at all, yesterday. And I got it logically. I get it. I'm with you. I teach this for a living. I'm with you. I didn't even know this. I didn't even know that information until the day before, and I let it crush me. But the reason why I let it crush me, now I know in the end, is because I had to heal that wound. I had to let God do what he was going to do with me. I had to feel that pain because it was still there, creeping in, and I didn't know it. I did a lot of release and forgiveness and all kinds of stuff around the situation. It's most of my work was around the situation, around the abuse, the physical abuse, the mental abuse, around the rejection, around the not good enough, all of those things. I did a lot of work, but man. So what do? The first thing you got to do is feel it. You have to allow it to overcome you for a moment. I took a bath and I released it that way. I cried a lot. I went running on one day, but that was the third day. It wasn't the first day. The first 2 days I was so overwhelmed is the word by feelings. And a lot of people were checking in on me and they were letting me speak out my feelings, which was thankful, very good. So you're going to need sounding boards. And if you don't have one because you don't trust anyone, I get that. You have God. So go out in the middle of nowhere and speak your mind. Write it down on a piece of paper. So that was the first thing, is that I felt it. And I felt it intently. Okay, so here it is. Here's the card. What do? You got to feel it. You got to feel it like you never felt it before. There's no glazing over. There's no sweeping it under the rug. I had to admit that I was rejected in that way. I had to admit that was where the original rejection comes from. That when other people reject me, it doesn't really have to do with them. It has to do with the rejection of my mother rejected me. And my father rejected me. And those are core, painful experiences. So I had to get to work. That was the next thing. And first I had to feel it. I had to feel it like I'd never felt it before. I had to cry. I had to hit things. I'm not a hitter, so I'm more of a curl up in my bed and put the covers over my head and pretend like I don't exist kind of person. So do whatever you got to do to feel it. And you got to get those belief systems out. So I want to share with you, my friend, really good friend of mine was going through, she's a mirror to me. We always have the same sort of experiences, but not really. So something happened to her and she was in the same pain. And her belief systems were the same belief systems I had. And I was like, say it, sister, because I feel the same way. And although you got rejected in a different way and I got rejected in a completely different experience, what you're feeling and what you say is me. So we were able to soundboard off of each other. Although I was like a day or two ahead of her before she had her experience. That was interesting. But I was, anyway. So the next thing to do is get to work. So what did I do after I felt the pain? And the next thing I did was I wrote it out. So I had so many thoughts in my mind, so many things I wanted to tell this person, so many things I didn't know about my life. And if they had known, they wouldn't have treated me that way. It's kind of how I felt. Like if you would have known the amount of abuse that I went through, you would never have treated me. You would never have rejected me like that. You would have been like, I can't believe, like, I don't know what I was thinking. But anyway, so I went to my computer and you can do diction. I don't know if you know that, but in Word you can actually click, and you can do it in Google Docs as well. You can actually speak in the words into the computer, and it's not great, like it totally messes it up. But that wasn't the point. The point is I can't write fast enough. So what I did was and writing is really good because of the energy, but I want you to tell you there were so many thoughts in my mind. Writing wasn't gonna cut this one. You know what I mean? Like I had to start from scratch. So it took me like 2.5 hours. I woke up before anybody else woke up that morning, and I spoke into my computer, and I spoke out my entire life, and I cried the entire time of a rejection from the beginning, like rejection from before I was even born. My mother, she didn't want me, and she tried to abort me, and she was not successful, and the twin that I had died. And she thought that I was going to die and had lung problems. So they life-flighted me to Vegas, where I'm from. And I was in the hospital for like 2 months as a preemie, never seeing my mom. So, and she went right back to work that exact night. So she was not interested if I was going to live or die. And that was pretty much the trajectory of my whole life after that. So I had to go through every single experience and get it all out. And then by the time I was done, I was so sick. I was going to do something with my daughter, and I remember being like, I can't do anything right now. Like, I'm so sick. I was like, I have to go upstairs and lay down, and I was very nauseous, right? Okay. That release of that emotional experience right there opened up a door for God to bring something in, okay? And it wasn't like a huge gift, but it was just enough to help me get through the next part. More work. I took a bath that day, and I made it as hot as I could, and I laid in it for 10 minutes, and I cried, and I cried, and I cried. And I had essential oils in there, Purify, and I think it was just Purify that day. That's what I did. So each day gets lighter and lighter and lighter. Okay, so I'm not going to lie to you. The beginning of this type of work is not easy. But what I am going to tell you is what you get out of this work, there's nothing that can explain the beauty that you get. There's nothing that can explain the amount of abundance that you receive. And I can't share with you specifically because my life is different and the things that I want are completely different than what you want. But what I can tell you is you start to see what blessings really are and what miracles really are. But you can't see them until you release the old. You have to die. That's right. I was talking to my friend and I was explaining my experience, and she said, it sounds like death. Yeah, death of the old, transformation. It feels like death. It feels like I died. And I was. A piece of me was dying. A piece of me that didn't need to live anymore died that day. It needed to die. And that's why I'm okay with doing this work, and I'm okay with looking right at the crap that scares me. I'm okay with looking at the stuff that I know is going to break my heart. So yeah, and we were talking about the butterfly. The butterfly in the cocoon turns into liquid completely, and then it rebuilds itself. And that's what I felt like. I felt like I felt like I turned into liquid. I just felt like, I just wasn't me anymore, and I wasn't going to be that me anymore. And there's nothing wrong with that. Because the me that I wasn't going to get me to where I need to go or where I'm going next. Okay, let's move on. There it is. So why would you want to do it? Do you want to do it because there's blessings that you can't see or that that you're not vibrating with? There's blessings in your vortex. I don't know if you listen to Abraham Hicks, but Abraham Hicks talks about a vortex. There's blessings that are there just waiting for you to vibrationally be ready. And how do you get vibrationally ready? You have to get rid of the old. You have to become something new. You have to change who you are or who you were and become who you're going to be. The other reason why you want to do it is because it's really difficult to listen to your intuition if it's cluttered with your old self, if it's cluttered with your belief systems, if it's cluttered with darkness, if it's cluttered with density. It's really hard for you to hear where God... So how do you get your blessings? You get it through the intuition. So God tells you something and you move in a certain direction and bam, there's your blessing. But if you're so overwhelmed and cluttered and murky and mucky in your heart where the intuition is, because ego is logic, ego is your brain. And that's what's keeping you where you are. Because your ego is there to protect yourself. But the problem with the ego is the ego doesn't want to change. So then, you're stuck being the same person that you always were. And then the ego, that's where narcissism comes up, is the ego will turn into narcissism and help you and lie to you about the reasons why you don't have the things that you don't have is because you're a victim. Or because... it's not your fault. It's not your fault you don't have what you don't have. It's everybody else's fault, the victim, right? The ego, that's what the ego says. And the ego is, oh, don't do that emotional work. If you do that emotional work, then you're going to look like a liar, because that's not who you were and that's not who you are, and da-da-da-da. And the ego will really talk you out of doing this type of work. Because if you do the work, you stop listening so much to the ego. You stop listening so much to the inner critic. And what you do is you start listening to God and inside of your heart, and you start following your heart and your dreams. That makes you the most ideal romantic partner out there because you are now open and connected. You can control your feelings really well. And you're empathetic in a way that helps you understand the next steps in life. It helps you understand where to go, and it's a lot easier. We're already been through the worst parts of our lives. Yes, we can have traumatic experiences again, and yes, we do have to go through things that human beings go through. But the amount of life that you've already lived, you've lived already more than 75% of the pain that you're going to actually live. You've already done it. You've already experienced that. Heal it. And that way, when the next 25% comes up, it doesn't hurt as bad. Did what happened to me hurt really bad? Yes, it did. And that's because it was the last bit of pain I feel like I needed to see. I needed to heal. I needed to understand that part of me. But God would have never, if he would have given it to me 5 years ago, forget it, I wouldn't be on this planet anymore. I think I would have just taken my life, dude. I'd have been like, I'm done. I don't want to do this anymore. But God knew what he was doing and gave it to me at the right exact time, the right place, the right time, that type of stuff. Okay, so, all right, let's move on. So you want to do it because you want to be able to learn how to process your feelings and process what's happening to you instead of sweeping it under the rug, okay? This way you don't have to be the king of wands anymore who is a fake person. It's an imposter syndrome. You don't have to, you can actually be authentic. You can be you and have people love you for you. Right now, people love the image that you're giving them, but they can feel you may not think this is true, but people might see the image that you have, but they can feel that something's missing. Oh, they're a great person. They're awesome. But you know what? I can't really put my finger on it, but there's something not fully right with them, or they could be so much better if they would believe in themselves, or they would, knock the ball out of the court or out of the field or whatever, if they would. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. And so sometimes I might be like, oh, I want to hire so-and-so, but there's something missing. I don't know what it is. I can't put my finger on it. There's something there. I can't tell. Oh, they got a chip on their shoulder. Well, what's the chip on the shoulder? It's the freaking ego getting in the way, right? So you got to heal this stuff. It's so imperative. This way that when you're planning for the future, you're planning with your prosperity and you're planning in your vibration that's going to bring you what you want to have. So let's see, another question. Should I grab it? Then let's do a different deck. Okay, so we know the why, we know the how, and we know the what. And the when is right now. I wanted to see if the universe can give us some more, I'm feeling like these cards, some more outcome. Or not outcome, I'm sorry. Something that I might have missed. So part of the reason why I wanted the cards to guide me is because, yeah, I had this experience, but my experience may not resonate with everybody. But the cards would tell me what would resonate better. What parts of my story, I don't want to just be rambling on. What parts of my story will make sense to somebody, will help somebody else heal. Okay, so if you're wanting spiritual prosperity, you have to stand your ground for yourself. And that's not standing your ground in your ego. This is a standing of your ground in this. I want to be who I am, for real. And I want people to love me for who I am, not who I've shown them that I can be. Imposter syndrome, right? Because people can superficially give you love, but the authentic, genuine, connected love that you really want, that we're all supposed to be learning here on this planet, cannot get to you if you are stuck in old emotional pain, emotional vibration. We have to heal the emotional body. You have to heal the feminine side. The feminine side is not a bad thing. The feminine side, we have to have balance of masculine and feminine inside of our bodies. If we're overly masculine, then we're living too much in the emperor energy, which is you got to have things your way. You got to control life. Life is about being controlled. And there's authority, and it's all about structure, and it's all very logic, and da-da-da-da. And that's fine. And, let's go on the other side. If you're all too much feminine, then, you're a martyr, and you're a victim, and you get walked all over, and your relationships are not balanced, meaning that you overfunction, in too loving of a way, but then you don't get any love return, and you don't get the connection that you want, and the conversations are minimal, and they're not as deep as you'd like, and stuff like that. You're not balanced enough in the energy. So you need to stand the ground in the fact that you're going to be feminine, masculine, and feminine in a balanced energy. And stand your ground that this is for you, that you deserve everything in life that you want. So the healing is for you more than it's for anybody else. And what you're going to see is every time you do healing work like this, you will get some sort of blessing. And that's what keeps us going. Every time I've done the hardest work ever, the most beautiful blessings come out of that. And stuff that you can't even explain to people. You're like, I don't even know how to explain this, but it was gorgeous. It was beautiful. I never thought that this would be the case. I never thought this would happen. But you have to do the work in order to get those. And that's kind of the carrot that God dangles in front of your face. Do the work. It's like you're going to get a treat, sit down, doggy, sit, doggy, sit. You know what I mean? And then dog sits and you're like, here's your treat. That's what I feel like sometimes. God's like, do the work right now. Stop being a baby. You know what I mean? And then I'm like, okay. And I do it. And I'm really mad at God. I'm like, why are you making me do this? I hate you so much. You know what I mean? I'm really upset. And then I get through it and I get past it. And then I want to tell you, for me, it was it hadn't even been a full week before I started feeling better. And then definitely by a week, I started to like feel more and more like me again, more and more logical, not in my emotional body too much. I felt very balanced, and that's kind of how it goes. And I'm curious to see, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm sure that some sort of blessing is going to pop up real soon. Like I'm already getting cards that are showing me like, you're getting a blessing, you're getting a blessing. I already know it because I did a bunch of energy work, and every time I do that type of work, it's like, bam, here's your blessing. And I'm like, oh, thank you. And I'm not saying you should do it so you can get a blessing, but it does open up doors, okay? And it makes it really nice. So the main things that you work on are memories of love. So rejection is a big one. Judgment is a big one. Abuse, any of those things. Those are what you want to look at. Those are what you want to work on. And in the beginning, you're like, I don't know where to start, or I don't know what to do. It's okay. Take a deep breath, because all you have to do is ask God and say, okay, where do I start? And God will give you an experience. And it's an experience that you need right then and right there, as long as you don't sweep it on the rug and you recognize it for what it is. And you go, I see this experience. It hurts. I'm going to feel it. After I feel it, I'm going to work on releasing that energy and do all these types of tools. So I'm going to take a bath. I'm going to write it out. I'm going to speak it out. I'm going to pretend like I write letters to the person. That's what I did. I pretended like I wrote a letter to the person that rejected me. You know what I mean? And I was like, this is everything you don't know about me. This is everything. I'm speaking my truth. I'm speaking my voice. This is what I should have told you that day. And it wasn't mean. And it wasn't like I was like, F you. And you can do it that way if you want. But I wasn't like throwing like, but you can, do what you need. So anyway, you're going to look at the memories of love. What is love? Why are you so tainted when it comes to love? Tainted love. Oh, why are you like that? So that's what you're going to do, right? Okay. And you're working on your self-esteem and getting your power back, because all those memories of love, every time you felt rejected or abused or taken advantage of and all of those things, every time that's happened to you, you've given your power away. And so you're wondering now, like, oh gosh, how come I'm not as powerful? Because you gave your power away to everybody who did something horrible to you, that every person that you loved and they didn't give you love in return. You're like, that's okay, I'll still give you my love anyway. Here's my love, and I don't deserve any from you, so don't worry about it. Don't give me anything, And that's basically, and so you've just given out, I'll give you all my power, everybody. And so one of the ways that one of the things you got to do. Oh, I forgot to explain that. We'll talk about forgiveness. I don't know how long this is, but one of the things that you got to do is when you are focusing in. So let's take my mom, for instance. I had this really horrible experience with her, and we'll talk about forgiveness, because that was my next question. I was going to ask about forgiveness. That's why I have this here. I already said earlier that forgiveness is for you, not for the person. You're not calling the person up to say that you forgive them. You can, and I've done that a lot to a lot of people. I've written a lot of letters to people, a lot of emails to people. I've written messages, text messages, however the relationship is or was, and I just flat out say, I'm sorry, and for whatever I think that I'm sorry for, and just clear the slate. Like, this is what I think I'm sorry for, And sometimes people will respond if I wrote them a letter. Sometimes, like my mom, there's no way in hell I'm ever gonna give her the opportunity to hurt me again, so I can't open up that door. So what I just did is I wrote the forgiveness letter to her, but she never got it. Like, I burned it. You know what I mean? It's like, you get it energetically, lady. You know what I mean? I will forgive you, but I'm not going to open the door for abuse. So that's not happening, right? So that's cool. You could do that. So what I did was, in this specific experience, I brought up the people from the past and the people from the future, or not future, but the present. There you go. And I wrote down their names, and I wrote down the things that the part I played in it, you know what I mean? And I said, I played this part, and then I wrote, I forgive you for, and then I said how I felt that, what they did to me. And then after I did that, I said exactly what my spiritual leader, the person my mentor, said to do. Then I said, I released this hurt over me, this pain, And if you have other words that you want to use, it's fine, but you're really, the intention behind it is that you're releasing the experience. You're releasing the energy, the person, the connection. It's called cord cutting, if you want to go spiritual on it. If you want to look up cord cutting, that's basically what it is. You're cutting the cord. You're gaining your power back, because it's really important that you say, and I take any power that I gave you, I'm taking it back. It's mine. It's my power, and I want that back. So that's how you do that for each of the people in the experience, okay? And so forgiveness is about you. I'm going to pull some cards on forgiveness specifically, okay? And I just want God to tell me some things about forgiveness, like the energy of the universe. Tell me things that we need to understand and know about forgiveness. When we are not in the energy of forgiveness, we're in the energy of anger, impulsiveness, and recklessness. When we are in the energy of forgiveness, we are in the energy of sacred knowledge, divine wisdom, and intuition. Okay, so when we don't forgive people, it blocks our intuition. When we don't forgive people, it closes us off to new experiences. And those really beautiful experiences that you may have had when you were younger that just happened, those beautiful experiences that you long for and wish that you had again, they can't come in. Because the reason why you were able to do it when you were younger, because children forgive. Oh my gosh. The spirit of forgiveness is childlike. It's innocence. It's beautiful. And it's not ignorance is bliss. It's different. A child knows that people did things wrong. But the child can see your light and your goodness even when you're a jerk, even when you're dark. Because children are connected to God. It's like the younger you are, the closer you are to God, is the way I've always said it. Like your intuition is spot on. Okay, let's move on. What else can they tell us? Oh, and I'll show you these cards. These are really cool cards. All right, so if you want a new beginning, if you want to have clear thinking and immediate changes for the better, and you want to triumph over these past obstacles that have been holding you back, and you know they have, you know it. Every time you almost get a feeling that you might get what you want, and then bam, it's gone. It was sabotaged. Man, why did I do that? Why did I act in that way? Why did I behave that way? Because you have some forgiveness to do for yourself. Like, forgiving yourself is the first step, dude. But that's why I used other people, the experiences of other people, to help learn how to forgive myself. So instead of just going, okay, what do I forgive myself for? Oh, that's quite a bit. You know what I mean? Like, then I would go, my mother. Okay, let me start there. I forgive my mom for blah, 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 blah. All the things I freaking hated about her. Okay, great. I forgive myself for believing that my mom's crap was my crap. You know what I mean? I forgive myself for marrying into a relationship that was very similar to the relationship that I was in. You know what I mean? And no offense to my husband. We were really young, and boy, we had some experiences together. Like, he totally gets this. He's like, yeah, dude, totally. Like, yes. Marrying into the same feelings that I had when I was younger. I went right for it. You know, the other thing too about this, about forgiveness, which is really important, is if you want to be able to be poised and not non-attached, like more observational when someone confronts you, opposed to taking it as a direct threat and a direct attack and losing your crap. Like, you ever meet those people that, like, you have a problem with, and maybe you go to that person and they're just like looking at you like, okay, and they're so like calm and collected, you know what I mean? They really know how to control themselves and their feelings, and they're not giving into your crap, and you're like, what? That's who we want to become. You want to be that person, right? If you want friendship and collaborations and to reunite with people that you once had great relationships with and you don't know why they just kind of petered off, or maybe you do know why, but you kind of wish they didn't, you know, that's one reason why to forgive. Forgiveness opens up other relationships. So in doTERRA, when I coach people about this type of work, One of the things that I tell them is when you let someone go, or you forgive someone, or you do work on someone, and you let them go, there's like this thing, and it's like you get like 6 people or 7 people back into your life, in a different way. And I really believe that's why I have so many people around me and surrounding me that are lovable, and because I used to push everybody away. Now I've done enough work that now I have a lot of people around me. Forgiveness is about reconciliation between you and your inner child. Reconciliation with maybe people that you lost in the past that you really wish was back in your life again. You can do that through forgiveness. And making amends with people and over past resentments. And like I said, some of these people, they're meant to stay out of your life for good. So you're not actually, the ones that you don't want to actually be in your life, you would do that work just between you and God. You and the pen and paper. You and the bond pit. You know what I mean? I don't know if I even said that right. But anyway, but anybody else that you don't want back in your life because they're abusive, or maybe they're not alive anymore, that's another thing, then you need to do that, between God, and then anybody else that you want back in your life that you do, then you just say you're sorry. You'd be surprised how far a sorry could go, and for me, I was like, because of the work that I've done, I will not allow people to come into my life anymore, and if they have rejected me or done any of the behaviors that my mother has done to me, that shown me that I don't deserve those behaviors. If that person doesn't come packing with an apology, there's no room for that person to be in my life. There must be an apology. If that person can't be authentic enough to even like know, they don't have to know everything that they did, but just come packing with an apology. Sometimes you don't know what you did to someone. And you're like, I don't know what I did to you, but whatever I did to you, it hurt you a lot. And if you're open to telling me, I'm open to listening. That's a good way to apologize. And I'm sorry I don't know what I did. Sometimes people don't know. And that's okay too. But you should be coming packing with an apology if that's the case. Anyway. Because I'm not afraid to say I'm sorry. So anybody who enters my life that purposefully did something in that manner, they should be coming with an apology. Because otherwise, I am not being true to the inner child. I'm basically telling the inner child, my inner child, that, oh, it's okay. It's okay if they come and just sweep things under the carpet and they just want to build a relationship with you. It's okay. No, it's not. It's not okay. What they did was painful and it hurt and it caused my inner child a lot of pain. No, that is not okay, and you should feel the same way. They don't come packing with an apology. They don't come at all. Anyway, 9 of Pentacles. This is about you being self-sufficient, you knowing your self-worth. That will open up the doors for financial independence, luxury, anything like that. Investments, it's beauty, okay? So that's why you want to forgive. Forgiveness opens you up to all of those things. If we don't choose to forgive and we don't choose to do this type of work, then we are stuck in panic and waiting, and life slows way down. It becomes stagnant, mundane, boredom, disconnected, discontentment. That card right there. Up to you if you want to forgive or not, and if you owe somebody an apology, get on it. It's for your benefit in the end. Every time I gave someone an apology, I knew it was healing me in some way. Anytime that there was any kind of pain for anyone, I knew that was where I needed to focus. If you don't know where to focus, go search for your pain. Anyway, and you can always ask God. God will show you exactly who you're looking for. Let's get some angel cards. What angels are helping us with forgiveness when we're in that work? I just want to know who helps us with emotional healing and who's helping us with forgiveness. And the whole purpose of this work is so your dreams can come true here on earth. You're trying to create heaven on earth, and heaven is love. And if you can't bring love into your existence, well, then you're not bringing the light. That's love and light overpowers every kind of darkness. So, that's the whole purpose. The purpose here is to learn to love. To learn to love like Jesus. And if you learn to love like Jesus, and that doesn't mean that You just kind of sweep things under the carpet. That's not the way it works, you know. Because Jesus, how he healed people, I don't know if people know this on this channel, but he healed people because he saw their own healing. He didn't let people talk him out of their greatness. Jesus knew people were great. Jesus knew that the light of God was in people. So Jesus was like, I don't hear that. I mean, I see that you're telling me that you're sick, but I don't see it. You know what I mean? Like, I hear that you're telling me that you're sick. Yeah, okay, whatever. I don't see it, though, because I know that your sickness is your emotional pain, right? I know that your sickness is a manifestation of you don't think you are worthy enough. You don't think that you're good enough. And so, like, that's what happened when I had this pain that happened to me and I relived it. I got extremely sick. So Jesus was like, I don't see that. I see you in your wellness, and that's how I choose to see you. And so, anyway, let's go on. All right, so Archangel Raguel, I guess that's how you say it, I don't know. Notice your recurring physical and emotional feelings as they signify divine guidance. So your feelings are your emotional guidance system. That's the other thing. If your feelings are so shut down, then you won't be able to hear or see or feel or touch or taste your blessings. You won't even know what direction to go in. You wouldn't even have the intuition to even follow it. Like, how are people at the right place at the right time? Answer that question for me. You know how they are? They're following their emotional guidance system, and they're like, hey, go here, do this. Like, these people who get these major blessings, if you ever, like, listen to them talk, they're literally, like, so free in their emotions. It's insane to watch people that, like, you know, that just, like, I don't know, that have won big or something like that, and they're like, well, I don't know, I just, like, walked down the street and I saw this lottery ticket and I was like, hey, maybe I should pick that up. And then I pick it up and I'm like, oh my gosh, I just won like $64 million. You know what I mean? Like, it's insane because they're in that right energy, and that's the whole purpose of getting rid of this, because you want to be in that energy all the time, so you can continually get what you want. Okay, Archangel Uriel. Yes, your idea is divinely guided, so please take action and bring your idea to fruition. What is that saying? You're going to get the emotional, if you make the intention tonight, this is what I want to do. I want to heal my emotional body. I do not want to be living in my old energy anymore. I want to become something new. The whole world changes when you do that. So let's take, for instance, let's take this. Let's pretend like you lied about something, okay? Let's just take this example. And you told everybody that you were this way. And as you grew up, you changed your mind about that. But you know what? If everybody knows, then I'm going to look really dumb. And I really like how I look right now. It's not the best, but it's better than, you know, it could be. And so you're just like talking, your ego is like talking you into it. And they're like, continue to lie. Just lie about this. Continue to lie. Okay, well, you're going to stay in that energy if you choose to. Now, here's the other thing. If you choose to work on why you lied, why did you lie? You know, work on that. Like, pick it apart, like each of the little details. Okay, let's start with, well, I lied because of this. Okay, let's take that and let's dissect that. Oh my gosh, let me feel that. Oh, it hurts so much. Cry, 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 cry. Okay. And then you write it out, you write your forgiveness letter, and then you tell God, I no longer need this. Thank you for the experience, but I no longer need the energy that I'm holding on to anymore. Peace out, take it, nice, thank you. And it feels like nothing's happening, right? You're like, oh my gosh, nothing's even happening. I'm just like doing this like weird spiritual work stuff, okay? And then you feel better though. You're like, you know what, I kind of feel better about that though. So I feel all right. Okay, cool. Then you take the next piece and take it apart. Why did I lie? Why do I think it's so important to hold on to this lie? Why do I think that this needs to be me? Okay, take it apart. Do the same thing. Step, 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 step. Do the same steps. Do the same tools. Blah. You feel like it's not working. Okay. Oh, but I feel a little bit better. Okay. I feel a little bit lighter. All right. Sweet. Next thing. Pick it apart again. Do it again. Okay. So after you've done that a couple times, then what happens is the doors open for you to be honest. And then all of a sudden, like, nobody cares. Because here's the crazy thing. Everybody else moved on from that lie except for you. You're still in the energy of the lie. Everyone else has moved on. They're not even remembering that. And if they do, they wouldn't be like, oh, you changed your mind? People change their mind all the time. You know, they're like, you know what? I don't like ham. okay, don't eat ham this Thanksgiving. And then the next Thanksgiving, they're like, you know what? I want some ham. And they're all, but didn't you say you don't like ham? You know, nobody does that. They're like, okay. And they just like give you ham. They're like, all right, here you go. Here's some ham. You know what I mean? Like, they're not like, oh my gosh, why did you said you were this way. Why don't you still not like ham? What's wrong with you? You know, they're not like that, right? They're just like, oh, okay, that's who you are now. You know what I mean? Like, I talk to people all the time and I'm like, you know, they didn't like blah, 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 you know. Okay, for instance, I sell essential oils. You know how many people didn't like essential oils when I first started? Like everybody. Nobody liked essential oils. I just kept teaching and teaching and teaching, whatever. And then like, but I never was like, if they came to me, it's like, hey, I want to buy some oils. I was never like, but I thought you said you didn't like essential oils. That wouldn't be great for my business. Like that's really like crazy, right? So no, I'd be like, okay, cool. All right, so you like oils now, great, you know. It's just like ridiculous. No, the energy changes, people change. Like the things that our society like today are nothing compared. Like take style, for instance. Like guys saw skinny jeans and they were like, I will never wear those skinny jeans. And then what happened? Guys are wearing skinny jeans. You know, it was like the thing. So nobody was like, well, you said you'd never wear skinny jeans and look at you now wearing skinny jeans. So people are like, oh yeah, you're in style, you're doing the thing. You know what I mean? Yeah, that sounds like a great idea. It's like, that's pretty cool. You know, like if you said that you were never going to talk to someone and then you saw like through life, you know, you saw that person change and you changed and then all of a sudden you talk to the person, people aren't going to be like, I thought you said you were never going to. They might at first, but then if you go, oh yeah, but you know what? They did a lot of healing. I did a lot of healing. And now we're kind of jiving together. It's kind of cool. Then people will be like, oh, okay, yeah, that makes sense. You know, duh. Opposed to, hey, so-and-so has changed a lot. And so have you. Oh, but you're not going to never talk to them ever again because you said you wouldn't in like the 1900s. You know what I mean? So you're just never going to do that. You know, it's just like really ridiculous. Anyway, so Archangel Uriel says follow your intuition or follow the ideas that come to you because that's what, you know, they're trying to help you. Okay. Archangel Azrael, I am with you in your time of need, helping your heart heal. This is really important. I didn't even talk about that. I'm so glad that they brought it up. Your loved ones in spirit and your angels and your guides are all there. And the really important thing about your loved ones in spirit is they will help like bring up memories that you need to deal with. So luckily my stepfather, who was with me all that time through all that abuse, he was in heaven, or he's in heaven, he's in heaven, so he's able to like, and my grandmother's in the heaven too, so they're able to be like, hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? Hey, remember this? And you know, it's like, that's really cool because there are things I don't remember. And it's like, oh, yeah, I do remember that. Like if I think about my energy of my father, then all of a sudden, all of these memories come up. If I think about the energy of my grandmother, and more memories come up. And it's like, wow, it's like they're there. And when you're in pain, I knew when I was in pain and I knew that I was like falling apart, I knew that I was loved. I knew that my angels were there, my guides were there, everybody was there, and they were probably like, I was in my deepest, darkest pain, and they were clapping. They were like, yay, I'm so proud of you that you're doing this work. And I'm like flipping them off, and I'm like, I don't want to do this. I hate you. I don't want to do this. You know, I'm like, and they're clapping, yay, we're so happy for you. And they're like having a party on the other side, right? So think about that. Your loved ones are there. You have spirits, or you have guidance. You have infinite intelligence that are helping you. If you choose to do the work and you choose to utilize the energy that's there for us, you are going to be supported in every step of the way. Right? And some of you guys need to get some counselors in your life. You need a psychologist that can help you work through some of this pain because some of you guys have been through some crap. So find a good one. You know, and my friends who know me, let me know if you need a psychologist because I have an amazing one I've been saying, and my husband sees her too, and my kids see her. We don't play in this house. You need to have somebody to talk to, you know what I'm saying? Because life is flipping hard, and sometimes our belief systems are just insane, right? All right, guys, well, I hope you liked this reading. I hope that it helped you, and you know what? I pray for you that you just make the intention that you're going to do this type of work. I pray for your blessings. I pray for the support that you're going to get along the way. I know that all of that is going to happen for you. I need you to know that. I need you to believe it. Write down your why. Why do you want to do this work? What's in it for you? Write that down. And then get to work. And don't be afraid, because God will not give you anything that you are not ready to handle. Okay? And if it gets to be too hard, you just tell God, hey, this one was a little hard. You know what I mean? Like slow it down. You know what I'm saying? You got your whole lifetime to heal it. So don't wait though. I don't want you to like procrastinate. But you have your whole life. So it's like, God, you could just be like, God, like that was a little hard. You know what I mean? Me, I'm like, bring it on. I'm like that girl in Superstar, the girl that's playing the basketball. She's like, you want some of this? That's me. I'm like, bring it on. And like, make it like, because I know the bigger the release, the bigger the blessing. And I don't know what it's going to look like, but I know it's going to be amazing. And I'm not playing any games in this lifetime. I don't know if you guys haven't noticed, but I'm not playing any games. I've already lived through the stuff I don't want to live through ever again anymore. And I'm not going to suffer anymore. I just won't do it. I'm tired of surviving. I want to live, right? Okay, guys. Well, thank you so much for being on this video. And we'll see what videos will be coming up next. You guys have a great night. Bye.